It has finally happened. We have finally had the Miss USA 2022, and I am Suzi Greenberg, and today I'm going to be talking about what I thought of the pageant and how I thought the girls did. If you don't know who I am, like I said, my name is Suzi Greenberg, and I am a current informal title holder. I have competed both in the Miss and Mrs. division. So I love pageants, and I am really excited for this Miss USA. So let's discuss. So a few things that I wanted to comment about just the show in general. First off, I loved the opening outfits. I loved the opening dance. I thought it was great. The costumes were fun. They were easy to wear. They were fashion forward. I really loved them. They were great. I haven't seen an opening number outfit. Usually opening number outfits are awful. Just I always dread, what ugly thing am I going to wear this year? And I really love those. If I got that as an opening number outfit, I would have been ecstatic. I did not like the stage. The staging was not ideal. It's the venue that they have, so it's not always up to production. And sometimes it is with agreements that they make. But that's definitely a big thing you're going to want to do when your director is looking at different venues and seeing what their stage is like before you make a contract with them. I was not a fan of the first phase of competition, which is new this year. It's a first impression phase. It's that when you're a Miss USA, you need to walk in the room and have a presence. And I think this is very important. However, I've seen this type of phase of competition in other pageants, and I'm just not a fan of it, because it's like you go from top 16 to top 12 within just by them walking down and making a first impression. They're just gonna pick the top 12 that it's just kind of a cop-out elimination. It's just basically, I'd rather them just give me a top 12 and just eliminate that portion of the competition altogether. If you don't want as many girls competing, I'm not gonna have a problem with that. Just cut it out. I just feel like it's just so unnecessary. I loved that during the first stage of competition that they added interview clips in. They obviously filmed their interview and they put pieces of them in there. So you gotta see kind of how they did during their interview, what their personality was like, part of it. I really liked that. I did, however, really like how they had the girls, the top 12, compete in swim and evening gown before they eliminated down to top 5. I really don't like it when they'll do swim and then eliminate girls and then go into evening gown. I like that combined score. I just think it's more fair, because girls who are really, really good at swimsuit always get advanced, and girls who maybe shine in evening gown but kind of are okay in swimsuit always get eliminated before they have a chance to truly shine. So girls that I had my eye on before the competition, in no particular order, are Washington, California, Connecticut, Illinois, Vermont, Tennessee, Kansas, Mississippi, Nebraska, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, and Texas. I did not spend a ton of time investigating their speaking skills and their Instagrams. I did for my favorites, but I didn't have enough time this year to really, just snuck up on me so fast. So these were just my general first impressions of the girls. how they did in prelims, how their introduction was, a little bit of Instagram, and just also kind of like what I know about the women too. So the top 12 that ended up continuing on with the competition were New Hampshire, Kansas, Texas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Nebraska, Minnesota, New Mexico, Ohio, Vermont, Illinois, and Connecticut. And then so that was the top 12. Originally they had a top 16, but then they had that first impression competition, which immediately eliminated them. All they did was just walk up, pose, and walk away. So the other 4 that got eliminated from the top 16 were California, District of Columbia, Missouri, and West Virginia. Like I said, I wish they would have eliminated this whole stage of the competition, and I think it wasted time, and I'm going to get more into that later on. I'm very, very riled up about this, but that's for later on. Miss Texas. So I actually knew about Texas before she competed. I used to live in the state of Texas, and so a lot of my pageant friends who I made and when I competed in Texas were posting a lot about her. Either they competed with her or met her at the show or at appearances, etc. So I knew that she was a force to be reckoned with. So I definitely had high hopes for her. I thought she did really well, and it's clearly all that hard work really paid off because I knew that she had been competing for a while. Tennessee. I just want to give a shout out to this girl for her calm energy. I loved it. I love that calm, confident energy she gave off. She didn't have as strong of a performance as some of the other girls, so she didn't move on farther. But I just really wanted, when I talk about like a calm confidence, that's what I'm talking about. She gave a very peaceful presence, and it comes off as so confident, and I just loved it. North Carolina. So I am currently living in North Carolina right now. So I knew lots of girls who were competing against her in that pageant for her state pageant that she won. And I also knew some people who went to the show. And everyone said the same thing. Everyone had such wonderful things, glowing comments about her. I knew that she was going to do really, really well. It's also a very, very, the North Carolina USA pageant is extremely difficult. I have a friend who just transitioned from teen to Miss, and she actually decided not to compete in the Miss division because she just doesn't feel like she has enough experience because it's that competitive. She wants to win a bunch of other titles before she even bothers to compete in the Miss USA North Carolina. So that just shows how much work you really have to put in to win that North Carolina title. I didn't have a chance to go to the state pageant this year in North Carolina. I wasn't able to make it. Hopefully maybe next year. But when I saw her performance, I was like, oh yeah, now I know exactly what everyone's been talking about. Another comment about North Carolina, and many people have brought this up, is that North Carolina wore her state pageant dress to finals, both the prelim and the final. And this is a wonderful example of you can reuse the dress that you have more than one times. Like the rumor that you have to buy a different dress for every time you compete is completely false. Like, just it, not to mention it makes you bankrupt. Like, I understand that sometimes you just want to upgrade or maybe change something that you didn't like it or love it, or your styling's a little bit different. I understand owning more than one dress, but the dress does not, if you have a great dress, just wear the dress. Do not keep on buying all these dresses. Do not go bankrupt. I literally heard of, there was one girl, I believe she was in the USA system. She sold her car so that she could buy her dress for nationals. And I'm like, well, now how are you going to get to work? How are you going to get, you're going to go $10,000 in debt for a dress? I'm sorry. Like, if you have a sponsor, or you have your pageant helping you, or, you just you have the financial means to spend that kind of money, more than willing. I mean, that's great. I am so happy that you have that opportunity. But if you don't have that money, save and then buy it and then reuse it. Don't just spend $10,000 on a dress and then only to wear it once, to wear it for a total of maybe 2 hours and then be done with it. That's the silliest thing. That is the worst investment I could ever think of. I mean, so rewear your dresses. And you can see that she obviously did really, really well. It's not like she did worse because she re-wore her dress. So thanks, North Carolina, for making that very savvy financial decision. Nebraska was so beautiful, and I loved her evening gown. When she came down, I immediately got Miss Universe vibes. She looked so nice. And I know that she's a corporate lawyer, so she had this very like professional, big girl kind of vibe with her. So I really enjoyed her evening gown. Her swim was okay, but I really loved her evening gown. I think her evening gown is what did it for me. New Mexico. So I really loved when New Mexico spoke, or any of the video footage that I got from her. She's just such great energy and I loved her. However, her performances were kind of weak. I mean, they were good enough to get her in the top 12, obviously, but compared to others, I thought they could have been a lot more polished. There's just a lot of errors that I saw, kind of some mediocre moments. I just didn't have the energy, so I was really disappointed. I really wanted her to do really well because I thought she had a really great enthusiasm, and I just loved all the video footage I got of her. Ohio. Ohio did very well. I did score her well. She was not my favorite, but I loved her gown. Oh my gosh, the pink color, the chiffon with the ruffle at the edge, the way it flowed, that long train. Oh, I thought it was so pretty. I wanted to wear that dress. And it was definitely, it also looked so good on her skin tone. I thought the dress was a really good choice. And it was uncomplicated, but just elegant. And I really liked her gown. And I do know from the very small clip I saw of her when they showed her interview that she does have some very strong speaking skills. And I think she's a really great heart story. So I definitely think that really helped her connect with her judges. So I wanted to mention Connecticut and Vermont. And I'm going to talk about them together because I feel the same about them. They were people who are on my radar, and I wanted them to do really, really well. But I felt like they kind of fell in the shadows. Similar to New Mexico, they just didn't give me the energy. Like I said before, I felt like this was a very blah pageant this year. I just didn't feel like I was getting those, oh my God, universe moments. And I wanted from them. I think they could have given it. They just needed to be, I needed more from them. I needed more personality. I just needed more life. And so I thought they did well, but I just needed more. And I think that if they would have given more, they potentially could have placed higher. Last, but certainly not least, I wanted to mention Illinois. Oh my gosh, this is my fangirl moment. So I will say though, I may be a little bit biased about Illinois. So I am originally from Illinois, from the Chicagoland area, and she is from Chicago. Angel is, she lives in my stomping grounds. So I, of course, was super supportive. I did know about her beforehand, way before, it was pretty much since she won her pageant. And I was such a big fan. I was so excited to see her. And I thought she did really, really well. I mean, she just looks like a Miss Universe. Like, first of all, let's just say she's absolutely stunning. Physically, facially stunning. And she has a great walk. She is very photogenic. Illinois is someone who I think that Illinois, especially if they're putting more of an emphasis now, kind of reeling back to kind of like in the past where they put more focus on like the model-esque. I'm not sure if Universe is going to go that way, but I mean, of course, her interview skills are good, but from a walk and a facial perspective, she looks like she could compete with places like the Philippines and all these other powerhouse pageant countries. And that's what we need to be looking for in a queen. And the thing is, I think sometimes, especially with something like a pageant like this, you can't just pick your favorite of who you like the most. You also have to pick the woman who you think is going to do the best at the next stage of competition. And while her performance wasn't perfect, I thought it was a great starting point for Universe. Because it's not like how Elle's was, where she literally had like, couple hours before she was flown off to Israel. No, like they have about 3 months before Universe happens. That's plenty enough time to polish any details. But the look, the energy, the vibe, like that's something that's going to take a really long time to cultivate. And the little details, those can be fixed. Those can be, especially because they've got 3 months, they can iron all those out. But I just thought she was a great contender for Universe. I love her. I'm fangirling over her. The top 5 ended up being Ohio, North Carolina, Texas, Illinois, and Nebraska. Honestly, the 5 that got picked did not surprise me. I was satisfied with all of them making the top 5. I thought it was very fair. And I do like, so something new that they have this year, which was also the same as last year, is they have that kind of Q&A. It's unjudged. It's where they just kind of ask like fun questions. Like, I think one of the questions is like skinny jeans or flared pants. Which do you like more? Just fun stuff. And I remember a comment from somebody made from last year is they thought it was a really great because it kind of helps with the nerves, kind of loosens you up a little bit before you have your big on-stage question. So they had it again this year, and I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I liked it. And then they had their final questions. Their final questions this year, I don't know. There's something weird. So I was talking with another pageant girl last night about the pageant, and all of us were just kind of a little bit confused about the questions. And we weren't really sure if it necessarily was the questions or maybe the way that they were worded, but they just seemed to be a little off. And I don't know if that affected their answers. I do, however, know that of all of the women who answered the questions, nobody had like a out of the park perfect answer. Nobody was like, wow, this girl can speak. And also for some people, it wasn't necessarily what they said. It was just more of their delivery. Nebraska was an example of this. She's a corporate lawyer, and I think that might have played into it. She had a good answer, but her voice was a little bit monotone. She was a little bit more serious. She was very, like she was in a boardroom presenting a case. And she needed a little bit more life, a little bit more energy, be a little bit more passionate in her answers. And if she would have given that kind of performance while answering the question, I think she would have scored higher. Same way, North Carolina, her answer, while for her, I think while you are not judged on your answer, you are judged on your delivery of your answer. It is impossible to be a judge and score and not have their answer influence your score. Like, you're going to have a little bit of a bias. If you were like, oh my gosh, I 100% totally agree with what you're saying, you're going to see them in a better light. It's called the halo effect. Versus if you really disagree with everything that they said, you're going to try to score them, may still score them well because they answered correctly, but you may not score them as well as if you love their answer. It's human nature. It's just the way that psychology works. So while North Carolina did not have anything wrong with her answer, her question was about influencers getting paid. Should they have to legally disclaim it, making it like a legal requirement? One of my friends kind of made the comment that with her answer, she was like, well, I just trust that influencers are promoting things that they would normally buy with their hard-earned money. And a friend commented that was kind of a naive answer. Like, come on. Like, these people are getting paid. They're going to say whatever they need to say to get paid. I think it would have been better direction maybe if she kind of went into more of the legal side of things. Like, maybe saying one way or the other, maybe going, I think you'd say talking about how maybe it would affect, some legal issue or maybe affect of minors. I mean, that may be also getting too complicated for like a 30-second question. Overall, I think North Carolina had a good answer. It just could have been better, a little more well thought out. But I understand, like, it's an onstage question. Like, it's very difficult and you're just trying to do the very best you can. So while I'm not judging, I've been in her shoes before, I think potentially her answer could have taken away that spot from her. But we'll never know. So now, it is about to get heated. We are gonna have some hand clapping. Okay, mentally preparing for this. Centering myself. I was so upset with the ending of this pageant. So after they have their final question, they do a final look. They have a commercial break, do a final look, have another commercial break, have the commentators say a bunch of stuff, and then they finally announce the runners-up and the winner. Well, so they basically spend all this time with, going all this, and then they completely rush through the entire coronation ceremony. And I understand that they use that time to like calibrate boats and such, and they also had them change outfits because they were in their evening gown, then they change into like interview type wear for their questions, and then get into their evening gown. So I understand that timing might have been for that evening gown, give enough time to dress in it. But they completely rushed through that ending. Like, when she read through the ending, she literally was like, and fourth runner-up is, and third runner-up is this state. Second runner-up is this state. Clap, clap, clap. I didn't even have enough time to write down what state got what runner-up before she announced the next one. Like, come on. Like, they didn't even have a chance to like have people clap for them and exit the stage. They literally like said their name and they were just quickly ushered off. Like it was like basically when I'm like with my kids, like, get in the car, we're gonna be late for school, let's go. Like, that's how it felt. I understand this is cable television, and I understand that when you have a very specific time slot, like you have to end exactly on the dot. Like, you cannot go over. This isn't like a football game where they allow you to go into overtime. It's a scheduled program, but they know this. They can generally time out with this high level of production. They can time out how long it takes to do everything. And if they, like, that's something you don't jip. Like, I understand the extreme. I don't like when they go too much, like, and the winner is, you want to know? You want to know? Give them another round of applause. And the winner, like, you know what I'm talking about, where the MC just goes on with, like, the tease. This was the complete opposite of that. Like, I didn't even have a time. Like, you are ruining one of my favorite moments of this pageant, where I get all happy and excited. I get all the feels. Like, the whole pageant has been leading up to this moment. I understand that you could have done a little bit of a faster paced one with your runners up, but at least have it all sink in. They probably were all like blindsided on stage, like, oh wait, it's over? Like, wait, we didn't even get a reaction moment from our winner. And they just literally were like, and she's the winner, hurry up, put her crown on, yay, wave, and just end. And I was so disappointed because last year they actually did it right. They actually gave enough time to let Elle have her moment on stage. They filmed her walking. They had them when the credits were rolling. They had all the girls swarm her. I got to be in that moment and have all the feels. And I loved it. It wasn't too fast. It wasn't too short. It was perfect last year. Why didn't they do that again this year? When the pageant ended, I was so mad. I mean, I'm still mad. It's very obvious that I'm very heated about this. But that was just a huge production fail. Like, you got to do better. Like, the pageant, the types of people that are watching this pageant are getting smaller and smaller. It's becoming a very niche entertainment. So you really have to know your target audience very well. And us target audience people, like us pageant people who are watching this is what we live for. We live for this moment. We have been so anxiously waiting, like looking, following these girls on social media, watching their state pageants, watching the preliminaries, all leading up to this moment where we get to have this amazing feeling of, oh my gosh, my favorite girl won, or the deep sad, like, oh, disappointment. Like, we get to have that big roller coaster of emotions. We live for it. It's the highlights and dramas of our lives, and they took it away from us. So production, do better next year, because this was unacceptable. So now that I got that out of my system, we can talk about the final. So fourth runner-up was Illinois. I was very sad. Very, very sad. I do understand maybe why she didn't win, but I thought she would have placed higher. So I was so sad when she got fourth runner-up. Third runner-up was Ohio. I think that she just didn't have enough of a moment in Final Question to shine. I thought that she did great, but she just didn't have a big enough moment to really make her stand out enough. Second runner-up was North Carolina. Oh, I'm sorry, not a second. I'm sorry. Second runner-up was Nebraska. I apologize, was Nebraska. Same way, I think for her, Nebraska was just a little bit more, like I said before, a little monotone, could have had more energy in her delivery, and I think she would have scored better. First runner-up was North Carolina, and for her, I think it might have been, like I mentioned before, her answer may have came off a little naive, and that might have given her a slightly lower score. And our winner is Miss Texas. Not a big surprise at all. I am fully satisfied with her winning. While I didn't mention before about her final question, she did really incorporate how bring the question back to herself. She talked about, her question was about recycling, and well, not recycling, was about climate change. And she said that she recycles by when she upcycles her own clothing, because she designs all of her own clothes. So that was taking a question and making it very personal, very relatable, taking a very large concept and bringing it down to something that you can answer in 30 seconds. So she did a very good job at that. I think she's going to do a very good job at Miss Universe. Plus, she's got 3 months. She's got a great team with her. I know she's going to do super well, and I cannot wait to see her at Universe. This year, Miss Universe is going to be in Louisiana, in New Orleans. I am very excited for that. That's a whole new video and topic to talk about, but Louisiana puts on a good pageant. So, I'm excited. I'm excited to see her. So, congratulations, Rabani. I am very excited for your reign, and best of luck at Miss Universe. Thank you so much for watching. Please discuss. Give me your thoughts and opinions of how you thought the results are. Keep it clean, keep it kind, and have a wonderful rest of your day.